Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for swinging by again this week and hanging out with us on Todd-versations. Super excited, as I always am for all my guests, but I'm really excited about this one because you know how much consumption, increasing consumption, talking about kids, doing the right thing with our food is so important to me and a team here at Todd-versations and Todd Pits. So please, everybody, give it up for our friend from the managing director of the Healthy Families Project. Please give it up. She's, before I go, a mom, she's a cook, and more importantly, she's a dog mom. So you're automatically in the front of the line here at our place. You're working to shape the food world. Please give it up for our friend, Amanda Keefer. Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm excited to get on and have this epic chat.
I told you, it's exactly how I described it. It's going to be an epic chat. There's no two ways. And we need these conversations because what you guys are doing is so impactful to the world and making such a difference out there. And to have the opportunity to share this message about what you all are up to is so important to me and to our team because, you know, we firmly believe the only way we're going to make our country healthy is by teaching people how to eat better with more common sense, more practicality, investing time and energy into food. Stop making cheap choices because it's just easy and convenient. I get that. I know the economy's hard. We'll get into all of that. But we have to make conscientious choices for our future. And, you know, what you guys are doing is leading that charge. So before I start, you know, and you're lucky today, I have only around 173,000 questions. Normally I'm in the 200,000 range. I'm down to 173, trying to keep us on time. So, but before we get going, would you please just kind of say hello to everybody and give us a little bit of your history and journey and bio and who you are and what you're up to.
Sure. Well, my journey into the produce and I guess better for you food brands world has kind of been strange because I guess with many people graduating from college, you have a vision of where you're going. And oftentimes you end up exactly where you're supposed to be, but not really where you envisioned you would be.
Never know where that path is going to take you, right?
My degree's in journalism. And I went right into public relations at the Kennedy Space Center after college. So
cool.
I worked in public affairs over in Cape Canaveral. And then went on I discovered that I really enjoyed the travel side of things, not actual like travel into outer space, but people visiting the Space Center and educating people on the history and what's coming for the future. So I fell in love with tourism. And then that took me over to doing PR at an agency where I represented international hotel brands and destinations. And so that was amazing. And I loved it. I traveled a ton. But when I had my second child, I decided that I needed to probably scale back on the travel a little bit, especially scale back on the last minute travel. Because a lot of my clients were, you know, especially being in PR, if there's an issue, it's like, be here tomorrow, be to Mexico tomorrow. And so that just was not going to work with the second child coming along. So when I was on maternity leave, I was searching around and one of my former bosses said, "Hey, this looks interesting." And she sent me a job post for, at the time, our name was Produce for Kids. And so I thought, you know what? I love to eat healthy. It's always been a passion of mine. This sounds like it's something I could do. It's something I could get behind. And I really, truly was feeling like if I'm going to spend 8 hours a day at a job or doing work, I want my work to be meaningful. And not that sending people on vacations to lovely destinations wasn't meaningful, but I felt like I could really make a difference in this role if I do it right and we get the right information to people. And that was 11 years ago. So I'm still here.
Yeah, and it's working.
And it's working. And I still every day, you know, just feel so blessed to be able to do something that will leave make an impact for future generations.
Absolutely. You know, you never know where your path is going to take you. You know, you follow along your life journey and, you know, sometimes you think, do I go right? Do I go left? But, you know, I always believe that no matter what path you choose, right, you're supposed to be taking it, right? And obviously 11 years of doing what you're doing to change the world and help families eat better and kids eat better and mom and dads be empowered to learn how to make choices I mean, how do you not wake up and feel meaningful, right? I mean, it's beautiful. I love it, which is why I'm excited to have you guys here. So let's talk a little bit about Healthy Family Projec. Give everybody a little bit about what the mission, what the organization is really about. And then we're going to deep dive a little bit more into it.
Okay, sure. So first and foremost, we're a cause marketing organization. And so just to maybe give a little bit of background, our founder is John Shuman of Schumann Farms. And so he had a vision back in 2002, just thinking, hey, I think it was one of his sons was in the hospital for something that, was totally fine. He's great these days, but he discovered Children's Miracle Network. And at the time he thought, wow, this organization is helping so many families, helping so many kids. Wouldn't it be great if we could bring some produce brands together to make a difference with Children's Miracle Network? And got with some of his connections at Publix. And so the first cause marketing produce for kids campaign was born. And, the shelf life of most promotional campaigns is not very long unless you really make some drastic changes. So we're at 20 years and we're about to launch our spring campaign with Publix. So we continue to reinvent ourselves. And when I talked to John, he says, oh my goodness, I cannot not even believe how we've evolved with, social media and the need for recipes. And so as we're seeing our audience evolve, we've also evolved with the audience and grown. And I always say, there's a book called Utility, and it's being useful first. So being useful first, and the rest will fall into place. And so I think that that's really what we try to do. And we really listen to our audience and then create our campaigns around, what we're hearing first account through all of our outlets.
Oh, well, I have to back up really quick. And I got to lean into John Shuman and Schumann Farms, because I've had the great pleasure of meeting a lot of people in my life and a lot of people in this business. And I think John is one of the classiest acts out there today. He is a gentleman's gentleman. His heart is bigger than the state of Georgia. I guarantee you that much. He's just a really, really cool cat. I can't say enough about him. He's just a wonderful man. And can you share a little bit about just kind of backing up? And I want to give him some fair props, because he's done so much for the industry and continues and will continue. And I know that legacy is going to go through his kids as well. So how has his, and the vision of Schumann Farms shaped this organization, do you think?
So, like I said, I think in the beginning it was, hey, let's kind of try this out. Maybe it'll work. And then I think you kind of get addicted. And I feel like he having that big heart, and when you see the numbers and you see the impact and you see the kids that you've, helped in whatever capacity, back even with Children's Miracle Network, as we've moved through different organizations, I think for him, it's just a piece of the puzzle. And not only with Healthy Family Projec, he also with Schumann Farms, they go to great lengths to also, during Breast Cancer Awareness Month or whatever it might be, it is just the foundation of how their, Schumann Farms is built, and the foundation of what we're built on too. We don't, in all of our meetings, if we have strategy, and it's actually right above me on my board here with our pillars, but making a difference is number one. And so I think that all of us at Schumann Farms, at Healthy Family Projec, it's a very family atmosphere. We look out for each other. We listen to each other. We care about each other. And John leads with that, that. And so we fall in line and follow that. And we all think about making a difference, and it's working. So
absolutely. I love it. No, and it does. It really does. And like I said, he's a great guy. So thank you for sharing that. We'll give him some props. I'm sure we're going to embarrass it. We're going to embarrass him.
Yeah.
I don't care. So let's talk a little bit about your cause marketing deal, what you guys are about. You guys on your website, and you guys kind of go by the mantra, doing well by doing good, right? Kind of one of your pillars you talked about. So let's talk about that a little bit and frame that up. Guys, how have you kind of embraced that? And then how does that I'll kind of give you a two-part question. How have you guys embraced that? But then how does that translate back to the consumers?
Thanks for joining the Todd-versation. And now, a word from our sponsor.
Hi, it's Fred Valentino, East Coast Director of RGO Produce Marketing. Thank you for listening to Todd-versation and Todd Bits. At RGO Produce, we're closing the information gap. Headquartered in the heart of California's Central Valley, the nation's largest and most fertile agricultural growing region, we know fresh produce. With locations across the country, we blend digital innovation with human intelligence to bring the best quality produce to our customers. RGO measures fresh produce quality, taking the speculation out of the buying process. At RJO, we simplify selecting quality because we are quality driven, and I promise you, quality delivered. Are you sure you know what your produce looks like? We do. Give us a call or go online at rjoproduce.com and let us help elevate your customer's experience.
So I came across that doing well by doing good a couple years ago because I had some questions around, well, why not just make a donation? Why do you have to, boost sales, or, why is this marketing part of this? It's hard to just make the donation. You shouldn't be benefiting from, something. And I kept thinking,
Right.
but why? Why is that bad? And I've consulted with several of my mentors in the cause marketing world. And so one had mentioned to me, well, you're just doing well by doing good. That's a no-brainer. Why would you not, if you have the opportunity to raise awareness, and especially in the, produce industry, it's not like I'm, raising awareness for something horrible out there.
Right.
So it's okay, this is a no-brainer. We're educating, we're boosting sales for these amazing brands. And then in turn, we're able to also give back to these communities. And so we, as cause marketing, we are the collecting agent, I guess, if you will. So we're the middleman. So I funnel, I actually am the contact for all of our charities. So I work direct with everybody to get that funding to them in a timely manner and get them, exposure and on social media and everything else, because these charities that we work with are doing so many wonderful things. And we're just proud to be able to funnel that money back to them and be able to do what we do on the other side.
Right. Oh, I love it. So let's talk a little bit about your different brands underneath the umbrella. I mean, obviously the Healthy Family Project's basically the mothership, for lack of a better word. But then you've got Produce for Kids, Mission for Nutrition, and then Food RX. So whatever way you want to go, frame up kind of all four of them, what it is, how they interact. Just give us the lowdown so people can go, oh, wow, this is deep. We need to get involved.
Yeah. So I'll start with Produce for Kids because that was our umbrella there for a long time before we moved over to Healthy Family Projec as our umbrella brand. So Produce for Kids is our retail campaigns, and those take place within different retailers throughout the year. Each year we add some shift out because of different things. So it's interesting. We bring on, it's a produce exclusive program, and it's also category exclusive as well, which gives, some nice leverage to the produce companies coming on, that they're kind of spotlighted during that time. So we have a group of produce companies that come on, usually around 8 to 10. And those guys are featured in the produce department on signage during the time of the campaign, where shoppers can scan QR codes and come back to the website. Some of our retailers do some e-commerce or with the produce brands. Everybody's kind of different. We have some that are included in the weekly ads. We do Facebook Live cooking classes, my daughter and I, and we feature all of the sponsored products, which, live is always interesting. You never know.
It's a trip. Yeah, I was going to say it's a trip. It's a lot. It's whatever word you want to use. Yeah. Crazy. Crazy is a good word.
Yeah, I know. Sometimes she throws me for a loop because she'll say, well, I have one more thing. And I'm thinking, oh, geez. Okay.
How old is she?
She's 11 now, but
bring it, girl.
We've been doing it for about 2 years. So she's a pro at this point, but I like to let her have her space. But yeah, so those promotions, typically those retailers, their donations go back to Feeding America, which is great because Feeding America allows us to be hyper local. So I'll use Publix for example. All of the funds raised through the Publix campaign stay within the Publix market area. So those funds are divided amongst the food banks in the Publix footprint. So right that, and not that Feeding America, giving to Feeding America corporate is wonderful, but I think that is something that's really unique and really important to talk about with our retail programs.
Absolutely.
Because we want to make an impact in that community. The same with, we work with Military Produce Group, and the charity that their donations go to is our military kids. And they provide grants to kids whose parents are deployed, or I think we have recently returned, going through some things. So they receive grants to do camps and after school activities and things like that. So that directly impacts the military community. So that's something, when we bring on a new retailer, like I said, Feeding America is a natural fit because food banks are doing amazing things. We can be hyper local, but we do work, outside of Feeding America in instances where it makes sense for those communities. So that's kind of the produce for kids. Yeah, that's.
But let me talk. I want to talk a little bit about Feeding America because I actually had one of my questions, but I want to bump it up a little bit and talk to you because you guys are a huge partner with them. I mean, and I think it's important that we recognize, and I think people need to hear this, that they probably don't realize that 1 in 2 kids and 1 in 3 adults will face hunger this year. That's a real stat. And the implications or ramifications of that is really kind of a scary thing when you think about it. 1 in 2 kids are going to feel hungry, and that's kind of mind-blowing in this world, especially living in America. But your partnership with Feeding America is, I think it's unbelievable. You guys have raised over $7 million, which is not chump change, by the way. That's not my ashtray of the truck. No, but more importantly, you guys have donated over 12 million meals.
Yes. So
that's powerful.
It really is. And I volunteer at our local food bank, which we're one of the largest Second Harvest here in Orlando, Florida. So I work closely with them just on a personal level, because I think it's important also for my kids to be involved in the community in that way. So we're busy, but we always make time for volunteering. And I will say something that really hit home. I think the first time I took my kids to volunteer at one of the food pantries, my daughter said, there was a family, and she said, they're just like us. And I said, yes, they are just like us. And that tomorrow we could be in need and we would be able to come. And this is, because I think until you go there, especially for kids, and my kids who haven't faced a lot of, trials and tribulations because they've been blessed in a way. And so it was like, I'm like getting the chills, because when she said that, it really hit home, where I thought, because that's what it is. And sometimes, in my conversations with Feeding America, it's like getting someone to come and get the help and it's a pride thing sometimes that, and so they're really trying to debunk that. I actually just had a call with them yesterday, and we were talking. I said, I think there's going to be a lot more need coming into these next couple months as cost, and people that may not have needed to turn to the food bank are going to need to turn to the food bank. And she mentioned on their main website, it's so easy. You can go type in your zip code and click find food, and all of your food pantries, what's close to you, and there's no requirements. Some organizations have like financial requirements or salary or whatever it might be for you to be able to shop there, but there's nothing. You just show up, and if you're in need, then you get your food. So it's just awesome that they're able to do that.
It's amazing. It's so great for your kids to have that vision at the age that they're at, to have those open eyes, because that's how we're going to make changes going forward, is by empowering the generations behind us to lift up, do some of the heavy lifting that unfortunately the current generations don't want to do. We have a tendency, when it looks to food pantries and things, is becoming very judgmental, in my opinion.
Yes.
It's almost standoffish. It's them, not me. And I think it's your comment about tomorrow, it could be me, or it could be you, or it could be your neighbor, it could be whoever it might be. I think we have to be, I think it comes to the issue of we need to put a little more love in our lives, and we need to recognize that, food is a way of connecting our country, connecting your neighbors, connecting whatever way you bring cookies to the neighbor next door, whatever it might be. But I think it's important that we remember that, it is just not them, it's us. And I think when we start to act like us, we can uplift so much more.
I agree. Let's do it.
Yeah. I'm down. That's why you're here. Man, that's why I got you here, because I'm just into what you guys are doing. It's so important. So let's talk a little bit more, because I don't want to get off track, because I do want to make sure we bring everybody back in. So we got Mission for Nutrition, Food RX. You pick which one you want to talk about, but let's do it.
Yeah. So I will talk about a little bit about, I'll go to Food RX. It's more a little cut and dry, I guess. So Food RX, we started a couple years ago when we started talking about food as medicine. And I really had high cholesterol runs in my family. I eat a very healthy diet. I do everything. I still have high cholesterol. So I started really kind of experimenting, okay, I'm eating this apple every day. I'm eating all these foods that will lower your cholesterol, and I'm really logging it and everything. And when I got my blood work done and my cholesterol was way down, and my doctor said, what have you been doing? And I said, I was eating a couple specific things. So Food RX we work with, she's a former retail dietitian, and she does videos that say, these are anti-inflammatory. Like today's episode is all about anti-inflammatory foods. And she talks about what those are. She gives a recipe, and then she just kind of gives you some tips and tricks on how to incorporate this into your life. And so we just did one recently. Well, it'll be out later this month with North Carolina sweet potatoes. And so she's taking an actual, commodity in that instance and talking about the health benefits and talking about food as medicine. So that's kind of where the RX, comes into play with that, where here's all of these, and not to say that medication isn't needed for certain things, but what a wonderful, opportunity we have with fresh produce to be able to consume something so natural and, be able to alleviate or help some of these health problems that we're facing.
Food is medicine. It can hurt you, can help you. I say it all the time, I mean, and I think we have to recognize that. And I think it's really important that parents recognize the value of what that is and how simple of I'm not, you really honestly, and I mean, you didn't, but you made simple choices, right? When you talk about eating this or eating that, and look what it did for you. And I mean, you're testament to what we're exactly talking about. It's really important to recognize that, say what you want, but a sugar soda isn't as good as, coconut water, isn't as good as regular water, isn't as good as apple juice, whenever it might be, right? I mean, it's important that we recognize that.
For sure. Yeah. So that's Food RX. It's a video series, episodes coming out regularly. And, either focusing in specifically on a topic, whatever that might be, of an ailment, or taking, we've done several with the watermelon board. So taking that commodity or produce item and really diving deep into the health benefits of it. So that's Food RX. And then Mission for Nutrition is I feel like I keep saying we started this a couple years ago, but it's that pandemic mindset where I think, did that happen last week or did it happen 5 years ago? It's well,
I think this is the 900th day of March 2020, still, right? I don't even know.
Yeah. So Mission for Nutrition was born out of my love for retail dietitians. I try not to go on a tangent, but I think I think retail dietitians are so valuable and not utilized in a way that they could be utilized.
Here. I agree. You go. I got your back. Keep going.
Okay. So I do think that sometimes maybe in grocery stores, it's not, maybe I've seen them flip-flop from, are they under pharmacy or are they under marketing or are they under, so then I think it becomes maybe on the corporate level hard to determine where you fit and what your ROI is, right? So we're always okay, what's the ROI of this role? What's the ROI of this? So I think retail dietitians can really serve, especially the produce industry, well, by educating shoppers. I mean, you could have your blood work done and you're deficient in XYZ. Wouldn't it be great to be able to walk into the grocery store and have your dietitian, and some stores have this, but have your dietitian there and you go say, hey, this is what's going on. And they say, all right, well, here's some recipes. Here's what you need to eat. You go out, buy up all the tomatoes, and you're, boosting those sales, and you're probably going to come back for more tomatoes. So I just think that they're a resource. But so Mission for Nutrition, we send out materials to retail dietitians. Our list is around, I think, 400, and they receive, for National Nutrition Month, so it goes out like the end of February, they have mini magazines that talk about meal planning. They show you like a shopping list. And if you buy this shopping list, you can make 5 meals. You can make 2 breakfasts, 1 lunch and 2 dinners out of this shopping list. And so we do have produce partners who sponsor that initiative. And it's cool because they're on the grocery list, and they're included in the magazine and the recipes. And so shoppers are picking those up from the dietitians or wherever they have them in their stores. And the shoppers are able to, fulfill that list and make those recipes. And throughout the month, we just give these dietitians digital information, digital downloads. We promote them and what they're doing. We share all of their cooking classes through our platforms. And so we really celebrate the retail dietitians for Mission for Nutrition. And then on the consumer side, for the entire month, we really, through our social platforms, talk about meal planning and the importance of meal planning that we feel is key to, a stress-free, healthy way of living your life week to week, and cost saving too. So we really focus in on meal planning with our consumers. One thing we did add this year, which was super cool, is school nutrition directors or school food service directors. And we have been working with the Foundation for Fresh Produce. They work with schools and to introduce those folks to the produce companies that they may want to supply, to those schools. And so we've been able to build those connections. So the same materials we sent out to the retail dietitians, we also sent out to our list of schools. And so why not? I mean, they received the mini magazines. I had a couple school nutrition directors say they sent the magazines home, or they had like a culinary kit that they do. Just a lot of great feedback from those schools that were able to receive those materials as well. So March is really our Mission for Nutrition. It's a great way to reset. I think a lot of people jump into the new year with such grandiose plans of
high hopes and low expectations.
So I feel like March, and it's National Nutrition Month, so I think March is a great time to say, all right, we know you plan to do like these amazing meals, but let's take a step back and look at like, how can we make this easy, but still, eat healthy and save money, but eat healthy at the same time. So
absolutely.
Yeah,
well,
so that's
you nailed it about the dietitians, and they are so undervalued, and they are I just spent time with a whole bunch of them and listening to what intrigues them and what interests them. And you're right. I think, and I'm going to make a really broad statement, but sometimes I just think they're lost in the ozone of the corporate retail world.
Yes.
To your point, where do they go?
Yep.
Are they under this? Are they under that? Truthfully, what they're under is value. And I think that if stores would lean into the fact that they could, why not make that connectivity with your consumer to come in as a place and a source of healthy, positive living? Why not have a person that's, that guru out there that says, we can help you with this. We can point you in the right direction. That connectivity, I think, is a really missing values proposition that the retail community needs to lean into, in my personal opinion. Now I tangent. I'm on my soapbox right now.
That dietitian is someone you're going to listen to. And if they tell you, go buy that bag of carrots, you're going to go buy the bag of carrots. I mean, that's just, they're the sounding board. And I think that shoppers, like I said, they'll run straight to whatever you're telling them to go to. And so on the sales side, I think they could be huge. And again, they're only telling you what it's not misleading.
Facts, right? No, it's facts. Look, if you eat this is the result. You drink that, here's the result. But I think it's a fine line for the retailer too, because let's face it, not all retailers sell good stuff, right? So they have that they played to multiple masters, and I'm going to call them out on it too, right? Because it's at the end of the day, where's it taking us? It's not taking us down the best road, right? It's just not. And so, sorry, retailers, be mad at me. It's not the first time I've said something's going to piss them off. I'm sure it won't be the second last time either. But nonetheless, it's like, I agree with you. We need to lean into this. People want to know. You talked a little bit about the kids and how important it is. And I'm a big proponent of this. I've really put a lot of energy into this lately, trying to better understand this. And something that really struck me, and I wanted to just kind of run this by you and see where it takes us. But, baby formula is an area that really kind of like I started reading into. What is it? Because there's going to, there's a real concern that given the current economy, what's happening, baby formula is going to become in short supply. Which is interesting. But what I really found out was interesting is that, sugar isn't part of baby formula. We know that. And sugar, because it's a digestible carbohydrate, is why it's there. But it is also causing, in my opinion, what they classify as kind of a sweet tooth issue with our palates, right? We have a craving early on for sweetness as opposed to necessarily things, a baby would eat kale if that's what a baby had, right? And I'm not, believe me, kale's lovely, but it's not, kale's not your go-to, right? For anybody, I get it. But nonetheless, so, how important is educating kids, do you think?
Well, I mean, we say every day we're working to create a healthier generation, and that starts at the very beginning. And so, it's interesting. I like have all these like little stories about my girls, but I feel like they are what like really drive me to do what I do. I was at Southern Exposure just recently, and one of she works at a produce company, but she was like, hey, like almost like chasing me down a little bit. And I was like, oh, hi. Like, and she goes, oh, my daughter and I watch your Facebook Live, and my daughter sees your daughter in the kitchen and sees what she's doing and wants to do it. So yeah. I think that a lot of times we don't, as parents, we just, I made dinner. Like, okay, like, come on, dinner's ready. Like, come and eat. But I think that there are so many ways that we can expose kids to being comfortable in the kitchen from an early age and being comfortable with, like, my younger daughter's super picky. I hate to say picky. She's selective, but I promise you, like, when we go into the produce department, she can tell you what everything is. She's tasted it and she's knowledgeable about it. And my hope is that someday she eats all of it. But just the knowledge to know that, like, this is a mango, it grows on a tree, like that, like, and feeling confident, because the kitchen is a space that is intimidating even to a lot of adults. So, like, finding things for them to do, even toddlers, the lettuce knife that isn't going to harm you, like, let them cut the lettuce, let them stir something, like, just all of these things that make that connection with food
start
like a good this is my life, like, this, I have a say in this, and I can create things and make things, and I can be independent. And so I think that's a huge part of starting that from the beginning. But I do know that's not always the case. And I have found parents say, okay, now my kid's like 10 years old. I did kind of went down the wrong path, but I want to make a change. And so a lot of the content on our website, that is my mission, is to never make any parent feel like they did something wrong, they're doing something wrong, or to stress anyone out, because goodness knows we don't need any more of that in this world.
No.
So all of our content is really, simplistic, small, like a lower number of ingredients. It's not like Savour level magazine stuff. It's, hey, this is a comfortable space. You can do this. Here's some tips. Like, right. All right, we are where we are. It's not, you can't go backwards. So we say, what is the person taking the first step? Just envision everybody that comes to our website as someone who says, all right, I need to do this. Where do I start? And so I think it's important. Like I said, that ultimately you'd want to start early, but if not, all hope is not lost either. I think that you can really, but I feel like getting kids, that finding things that they can do in the kitchen and giving them the independence to make choices. I like my kids to, for a while there, when they were younger, I would say, pick one thing from the produce department you want to try. just go. I don't care. Go pick it. We'd come home with rambutans and like, just like the
Whatever
dragon
looked cool.
fruit, like the weirdest things, and sometimes they're like, all right, or like, no, not for me, but it's just cool because it's the conversation around it and like understanding what you're eating. So
yeah. Well, no, you make a really great point. I say this all the time, blue in the face. Anybody listens to my broadcast all the time hears me say it. When you build something, you got to think about. I look at it like how you're building a ladder. If the first rung of the ladder isn't strong, every step up becomes wobbly, right? The base is the most important part. So when you think about kids, getting them starting at that base level as children to get those right habits, the right thought process. What is the orangutan? Go and try it. If it sucks, at least you tried it, right?
Yeah.
But you had that experience. And I think it's so important that we build that. You also said something too that I have to comment on because being a dad of kids, I can say this and I don't care. You talked about being picky and then you said that she was selective. See, that's what a mom would say. A dad would say that they're just a pain in the ass. That's what a dad would say. I'm just letting you know.
True.
In full fairness for all the dads out there, I'm just speaking for you.
I would say, actually, you speak for my other half when you say that, because that's actually how he refers to it too.
Yeah, exactly. See, I knew that was coming. I love it. I knew that was coming. I had to say that. So let me ask the question, because we're talking about it a little bit, but what do you think is more important, educating kids today or educating their parents? It's a trick question.
Well, and I have a story for this too. I think several years ago, I had this thought that, well, if you want to eat healthy, just eat healthy. If you want to like make a change, just make a change. Right. But I had the experience when I was on the board of directors with the Southeast Produce Council to do some work with Orlando Health and specifically their children's hospital. And the Southeast Produce Council, in their philanthropic efforts, gives funding to Arnold Palmer Hospital. And so as a board member, it was my job to identify where that money would go once it got to Arnold Palmer. And so I got together with some of the doctors over there and we developed this, it's called the Healthy Lifestyles Program. Mm-hmm. And essentially it's kids who are affected by a lifestyle disease. So, I mean, the easiest example is like a diabetes, obesity. So things that can be corrected if you change your lifestyle. And so one of the key things that when we created this Healthy Lifestyles program, so it was going to be several Saturdays where kids would come in, I would talk about, here's how to make a smoothie. Here's how to, like, you can make popsicles that are whatever. And so then we had a, physical fitness person come in. So every week it would like kind of rotate through different speakers and we made it fun for them. But the kicker was that the whole family had to come to it. It would not just be the child. And so it was interesting because my mindset totally changed when I did this program, because I had parents come to me pretty much in tears saying, I only did what I knew. Like I was only doing what I saw in my family growing up. Right. And I was just doing what I thought was right. And now I'm in a position where my kid has a health problem and, I need to learn. And so, whereas if the kid had just been there, because the kid can go home and say, oh, I want the bananas and I want to make the smoothie. But if the parents and the rest of the family are sitting around just eating, loads of potato chips or whatever else, it's not going to work. So I think that the education, and you see it's very cyclical until you can break, like many things, until you can break the cycle. And a lot of these parents were not, we took a trip to Publix and walked through the produce department, and the fear, like, I don't know what I would do with that. I don't know what that is. What would I even do? And I don't have the money to just go and buy something to buy something. Like I have to know we're going to eat it. Purpose. And so they did not feel like they had a place, I guess, maybe there, because it was so foreign to them. And so I do think that, educating the kids is very important, but you can't, unless you have the whole full family on board and making changes and making those choices, it won't work. So
it's a great answer. No, it's, yeah, I was going to say, it's a great answer to my question. No, it really is. And you're 100% right. It is, I think it's important. And to your point of what you've experienced with your own kids, you bring them alongside they want to do more. They like it. You're teaching them these positive and reinforcing positive habits and ideas. It's a great place to start for parents. Just try it. Just to your point, pick something out in the produce department. I don't know what it is either. Let's go figure it out. How hard is that hour project to do in your kitchen with your kids, right? On a Saturday or a Sunday, whatever the case may be, whatever you can make time in your busy lifestyle, but to just tone it down a touch and get back to the basic understanding of how important food actually is. Because, I say all the time, we're not going to live on a 79-cent box of mac and cheese. As great as that tastes, believe me, it's just not going to work long term. We've got to get smarter about it. And it really starts to your point about getting the kids and the parents connected together. I love your answer. It was great. Thank you. I appreciate it. Before I forget, because I know you talked about the website. And if you haven't been on the website, I encourage everybody to go. Make sure you've got a little bit of time, because it is deep with information, which I appreciate. But I have to ask, how many recipes and tips are on your website? Because it's a lot.
It's a lot, and luckily we have a great search function and a great.
You do. I know you do.
We have a digital marketing manager who actually she's always in there updating older posts to make them, relevant, or she'll come to me and say, I don't know, what do you think? Maybe we should update this with some, more info. So I will say she's amazing at that. I think we have close to 600 recipes on the site.
Wow.
And, some of those we tweak over the years too. Like I said, if they're older, we'll go back and say, and the cool thing about the recipes is that we develop, like, I know there's a lot of professional recipe developers out there, but we develop all of our recipes internally and test those here in my kitchen. Mostly, sometimes our new website and digital marketing manager, she has a background in recipe development too. So she's able to do some things at her house now, but mostly they're here. And so I make these recipes, I feed these things to my family. And so I feel confident, when I'm here when we're doing the shoots and we're testing things, and it's just a cool connection. Cause I think, when I first started, we were outsourcing a lot of that. And so I don't know, whenever you taste something and you make something, you have this connection with it. So, so that's cool with our recipes. And like I said, we try to keep the ingredient count really as low as possible. As I know that's a thing for me where I'm like, all right, you lost me. That's too many things. I don't want to spend that much money at the store. And also,
well, it's a time too, it's all of a sudden, you're doing this recipe that, let's face it, you're spending 90 minutes producing something that's going to be gone in 5. Right. And it becomes a real big challenge. So you're right. It's about convenience. And we have to lean into that. We have to recognize there's 2 parents working, or our parent working 2 jobs, and you're doing this. I mean, it's a challenge. And so it's important that we find stuff that fits, but continues down that mantra of what's healthy. Let's not lean into this to the box of, garbage it's an easy fix. Easy fix isn't getting us far. We've done that too long in this country. We're going to have to start making some different choices and find those, to your point, those 600 recipes that are out there that are tested, kid approved, and can make a difference for a family. I love it.
Thanks for joining the Todd-versation. And now, a word from our sponsor.
Hi, it's Fred Valentino, East Coast Director of RGO Produce Marketing. Thank you for listening to Todd-versation and Todd Bits. At RGO Produce, we're closing the information gap. Headquartered in the heart of California's Central Valley, the nation's largest and most fertile agricultural growing region, we know fresh produce. With locations across the country, we blend digital innovation with human intelligence to bring the best quality produce to our customers. RGO measures fresh produce quality, taking the speculation out of the buying process. At RJO, we simplify selecting quality because we are quality driven, and I promise you, quality delivered. Are you sure you know what your produce looks like? We do. Give us a call or go online at rjoproduce.com and let us help elevate your customer's experience.
We run those through. We have a registered dietitian who takes a look at all those recipes for us, and she'll say, "Oh, this is a red flag. Nothing major, but like maybe you could use less of this or swap this out." And so we do a lot of that too. So I think that's another thing that when someone comes to those recipes, they can know, like, nutrition labels, wonderful, but I don't have time to go and like
Right.
do all this research. I just want to make my dinner and feed my family. So,
Right.
those are our recipes. And then the tips we have, we branched out a little bit when we moved to Healthy Family Project, recognizing that, nutrition and food is our foundation, so important, but also you can't have a healthy family without some other things like mental health and physical health
Sure.
and things like that. So, we're in a mental health crisis in this country. And so I'm very passionate about mental health and mental fitness. And so you'll find a lot of that on our website as well. Foods that brain power foods to help you sleep, foods, calming foods. There's, a lot of that. And then just really some resources for parents. Like if you're dealing with a mental health, you might have a mental health thing at home. Like here's where to go, here's who to call. And our podcast probably dives deeper into those types of things. But yeah, we're trying to do more of that on the website, because recognizing that like you can eat fresh and great all day long, but if you're not mentally okay and you're not going out and taking a walk or moving your body, if you're just you do nothing, then it's not going to work. So
100% agree. Yeah. And you said something too, I can't forget, but I got to give a shout out to our friends at SCPC, because they're fantastic. The stuff they've done, they've raised the bar. I very, 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 very fond of that organization and what they're all about. Anybody that wears their morals and values on their shirt sleeve and stands behind them, similar to what you guys do as well. It's, it's hard to look away not thinking that's impressive. I want to shift gears a little bit if we can. Increasing consumption is a big thing for us. It certainly is a big topic of conversation. And I think, and I'm a big believer in, one of the ways to increase consumption helps us eliminate food waste, right? You want to get rid of food waste, increase consumption. So I want to kind of get into that and talk a little bit about what's going on in the world today. But before I start, how does it resonate to you when I say, increasing consumption decreases food waste? I mean, does that resonate? And how does that make you feel?
So actually it resonates with me. And how could we, with the conversations everybody's having right now around costs at the grocery store, cost in general for anything and everything. So I think that there, again, going back to the education, we just in our Healthy Family Project Facebook group, we have a page, but in the group we posted, how are you saving money at the grocery store? How
Right.
are you? And a lot of that is understanding how to purchase things and consume them. So you're increasing consumption, but you also have to recognize like, hey, I could freeze this, or I could use this in a smoothie, or I have this leftover, whatever it might be, and I can add this to a salad tomorrow, or I can add this. So I think that increasing consumption, there's a lot of education, and especially coming off the heels of, I just did the IFPA school nutrition director exchange the past 2 days. So I got to dive in deep with school nutrition directors and food service directors at the school level. And they said, put this on their tray all day long. We can put all the fruits and vegetables on their tray, but they may throw it away. And, how do we combat that, and it just goes back to the education. So I think that's what it really boils down to. If families understand, how can I use all of this, watermelon, or how can I use this entire bag of potatoes without, having to throw anything out? I think more at the store level, that's a great opportunity to provide information there. Or on retailers have apps, like to have any kind of, like click here for more information on how to, use the watermelon rind to pickle the watermelon rind. I think we have that recipe on our site, but like how to use the whole thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because, coming, in this pandemic that we've had, there's been some very interesting stats that have come out, amongst other interesting things that have come out, obviously. But, fruit and vegetable consumption has gone up. The data supports it. It's gone up because, of course, people are eating more at home. People are getting reinvested in their food. I think people are trying to lean in, maybe hopefully more recognizing, as we've talked about, food is medicine. work to boost your immunity, eat foods
Right.
that help that, right? All this other stuff. But in the same token, so we've had this rise, we've had this kind of neat little trajectory. But what my concern is, and I keep preaching about and speaking about as much as I possibly can, is that one of the problems that we're facing now with the downturned economy, and the data supports in the past we've had a bad economy, is that now fruit and vegetable consumption will start to decrease. And, so I look at like we've garnered this momentum, right? And then if we don't pay attention as this economy shifts, and I believe the economy is going to continue to shift for a while negatively, we're going to lose what we gained, and then we're going to lose, we're going to lose that, but we're going to lose more because of what we're being handed. So I think it's really important that we kind of lean into that and keep that conversation rolling. So folks like yourselves that are out there, beating the drum about let's do things smarter, it's even more important now that growers and shippers and retailers and wholesalers and consumers lean into the message that you're giving them, because you're really giving them the tools and the runway to move the ball down the field. But, again, we're up here today. We know we're going to be down here tomorrow. If we don't do something, we've got to work hard at that. So I'm really concerned about that. I mean, how are you guys talking about that inside the organization right now?
Yes. And, I think there's an opportunity with the produce managers or the employees of the produce departments at different retailers. I think that they can help how they're merchandising, how they're, how they talk to shoppers, like understanding what's in season. I know, you have things available year round.
Sure.
But clearly, right now my strawberry prices, I'm watching them tick up because Florida strawberry season's over. But, a couple of weeks ago, we're getting strawberries for, $2.99 a pint. So I think that having that information in stores where, seasons peak, and you recognize, because I can't even believe the number of people that I talk to that say, well, I didn't even realize that there was a fluctuation in price or taste or, what do you mean? What do you mean? And I said, well, I shop my weekly ad, first of all, and which total kind of tangent, but I was super surprised. I was in the store yesterday and these bags of apples were buy one, get one free. And I was like, this is very crazy. But I love seeing a sale like this in the produce department. That's like a BOGO and nothing against the salad dressings, but it's usually in the, in a different category. So
right.
I think there's some things that grocery stores can do to help educate the shoppers, to make those choices and to see and recognize those different types of things and to just shop more, in a smarter way.
I love it. This has been great. I mean, and you're absolutely right. We've got to continue these conversations, and what you're doing is so important. I mean, I hope you guys recognize that. Even those days it was like, God, they're getting to me today. But you realize that, you only need one person to go to your website. That one person, you're never even going to know who it is, that goes on your website and goes, wow, okay, and it's made a change.
And
right? That's a motivator.
And I say that. I mean, I would hope we've helped more than one family, but
absolutely,
in my mind, I think I don't know who you are, family out there, but if I could just, know that you have made changes, you have, you're going to live a longer life, your kids are going to live a longer life, you guys are going to maybe not face certain diseases, you're going to feel better, like that, just, impacting even just one family is, amazing.
I'll share with you, and I've shared this a little bit publicly. I don't think I've said it on the broadcast before, but I 100% agree with what you just said. We had some data come back from us about where the podcast goes, and I was probably about 5-6 weeks ago now, whatever it was. We had 3 people from the Ukraine listening.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and I don't know who they are, and I don't know their situation today. But I realized the power of this platform, and it reinvigorated me as a person. I already believed in what we're doing, but it ramped me up, and I don't need a lot of ramping up in my life, but it ramped me up another couple of notches about how important these messages are, and these stories are, and these brands are, and these people are, and these ideas are that we need to talk about, exactly who you guys are, right? That's why I was honored to have you guys come on here, because it's so you just don't know who you're going to touch. And you cannot, if you just wait for that one person to feed you back, you're going to be waiting a long time.
Yes.
So for me to think that 3 people somehow, some way in the Ukraine were listening to what we had to say, I don't know how you can't just get fired up about working harder to keep these messages out there. I really don't. That's where I went to in my life now. And you guys the exact same way. You make such a huge difference all the time in people's lives. And to be able to have that runway, it's a blessing. I mean, I'm just grateful you guys are out there. I mean, I'm glad John woke up one day and said, hey, let's go do this. I got an idea. Let's go do it.
Yeah.
20 years later, here you are. It's powerful. But I do have to ask one question. I got to shift gears. I want to get all heavy before I don't want to get all, I got to ask one because you were at NASA. So I'm a NASA geek, right? So I'm a big space. I love space. I think it's fantastic. Yeah, I don't even want to get on my tangent, but I had NASA on the broadcast. I had Ralph Rich on there, who's an amazing individual working on growing food in space. So I got to ask you. So if you got a free ticket from Elon to jump on a rocket, would you go?
I would.
Okay. So shout out to Elon. I'm tagging him right now. Elon, get this girl a ticket. Let's get her on a flight. She's feeding families. She's making a difference in the world. You're all about that too. So here you go. All right. So I'm just letting you know, we're going to blow this up. We're going after Elon and we're going to get you a ticket on SpaceX.
I'm going.
But if you get to go, I just want you to know that I not to be mean to your husband, I wouldn't mind being the +1 to watch you fly up in the air because that'd be cool too. So just let you know. I mean,
I don't think he wants to go. No one else in my family. No one wants to go but me.
If you get a +1, I'm volunteering right now to be your +1 on that. No doubt, because I think that'd be awesome. I really do appreciate you and what you all are doing. I really, really do. And I have one final question I just want to throw at you for our time. Because I think it's an important one. And I'm just curious where your heart is on it. If you could only give one piece of advice today about increasing consumption or people eating better, what would that one piece of advice be?
Oh, geez, that's tough.
I know.
I think, let's see. I would say eating healthy and living a healthy life does not have to be expensive or hard.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's a great one. That's a great place.
That's a lot of people associate with eating healthy. That's expensive and it's hard. And I just want people to know that they can do this on any budget and with any time constraints. It's all possible to do.
Yeah, that's a beautiful place. That's a beautiful place to wrap this up.
Yeah.
It really is. And, I really appreciate you. I appreciate what you guys are doing. This platform is at your disposal. We're here to help. We want to be a part of this conversation because like the 3 people, like we talked about, the 3 people that listen to me in Ukraine, I'm motivated by that. And I'm motivated by the fact that we can touch somebody some way, somehow. And this broadcast being listened to in over 40 countries is pretty powerful. And we need to keep uplifting these messages and we need to keep uplifting people because it's the only way we're going to make changes in this country. And food is a great way. It's a communal way of doing things. And so from the bottom of my heart and everybody here at our staff at the TLC and Todd-versations and Todd-bits, thank you for what you do. I appreciate you.
Thank you. And thank you so much for having me today.
Absolutely a pleasure. Everybody, go check them out. Healthy Family Project. Get online. Get on the Google machine. DuckDuckGo, whatever app you go on.
The interwebs. Get on the interwebs.
Yeah, the dark web. Just find them. Social media. Hey, they're on social media like I'm on social media because that's where the cool kids are. That's what they can tell me.
We're even on TikTok, so find us there.
You're on TikTok. I am not on TikTok. It's just not. They have said you need to go on TikTok. I'm like, no, I don't. I just don't. I'm just not. I just, I can't. I don't have the dance moves.
Yeah.
TikTok. I just don't. But we'll see. Maybe you never know what might happen. But thank you, Amanda, very much for being here. I really appreciate you. Everybody, go check them out. Get a part. Jump in. This isn't hard. Like she said, let's lift each other up and make a difference. Right? I talk about it all the time. Go inspire somebody. It's not hard to do. This conversation is inspirational. Healthy Family Project's inspirational. Get behind it. It's not hard, and we can make a difference. So thanks for listening. Check us out on social media, Todd-versations, Todd-bits. We're all over the place. Come share your story, whatever. We want to be a part of it. Let's keep it going, guys. It's very important. Take care, and we'll see you all soon.